Good morning and welcome to Smallville Chat. For 10 years I lived and breathed Smallville. It was my passion, it was my obsession. I loved the show. It was everything to me. It made me fall in love with Superman all over again, and it was so amazing, so emotional for me to watch it. It really was. But what I still can't comprehend and digest is how it ended, those final 3 seasons, and really what went wrong. What drove away Alfred Gough and Miles Millar, the creators of Smallville, the energy of Smallville. Everything good from Smallville was because of them. They're the ones who brought Glover in as Lionel Luthor. They're the ones who brought Rosenbaum in as Lex. They're the ones who wrote the great material. But what went wrong? All I can think about really is the CW. From the moment the CW became involved with Smallville, it was game over. They changed the tone, they changed the direction. We got less and less of the shout outs to Superman, the clever little sayings and all of that. And it was not just that, it's everything. Smallville started off as an amazing pre-Superman story. We were going to see how Clark Kent becomes Superman. It became less and less about Clark, didn't it, in the end? And more about Oliver Queen, played by the extremely good-looking Justin Hartley. But obviously I'm not there to see good-looking guys, and really, I'm not there to see scantily clad girls. I mean, there's things on the there's places on the internet for that, isn't there? If I'm that way inclined. But the point is, they started to aim towards the Skin Deep Brigade, and the CW began all this. We're here to be a network for young women. So they betrayed Smallville. And those final 3 seasons were a massive problem. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to pick out episodes from seasons 8, 9 and 10 and say, well, what about this episode? What about that episode? There are some awesome episodes there. Yes, there are. There are some amazing episodes there. Absolute Justice. And there's quite a few in season 9. 10, there's a couple really. I thought Scion was a brilliant episode with Connor Kent. I thought that was a brilliant episode. But to be quite honest with you, good episodes in season 10 were quite few and far between. And then I need to talk about the finale. I really, really do, because I was devastated when I saw the finale. Absolutely devastated. To have 45 minutes about a wedding, that should never have happened, by the way. Should never have happened. Clark should never have told Lois his secret earlier on in the season. We went down the wrong road. This is the final season of one of the greatest TV shows ever to be broadcast, and we're concentrating on the romantic element before he even becomes Superman. You know, season 10 should have been epic. It should have been the final drive to him becoming Superman. And it was all a bit of a mess, obviously, because Michael Rosenbaum wasn't involved. John Glover did a couple of episodes, but alternate Lionel was nothing compared to the actual Lionel. So really, that kind of didn't work for me. John Glover was great, of course. The guy's awesome. But come off it. I mean, this is one of the problems, I think. One of the major problems with Smallville going for 10 years is we missed the boat for an awesome final season, and we missed the boat. Most important of all was to get an awesome series finale. Once Al and Miles weren't there, and I mean, they spoke after the finale quite candidly. They said they found the finale confusing. I didn't find it confusing. I found it outrageous. And so many issues in that finale, wasn't there? Al and Miles spoke again afterwards and said that their finale was going to be focused on the Clark and Lex dynamic. And rightly so. That was in the first 7 seasons. That's what drove Smallville. That dynamic was what made the show so fantastic, and why I kept watching. I didn't keep watching for the romance between Lois, Lana and Clark. You know, I loved Lana, and I loved Lois in seasons 4 to 7, definitely. But I watched Smallville because the unique dynamic between Clark and Lex was brilliant. That really worked. That really drove the thing that they were friends at first, but we all knew they were going to become enemies. That was amazing. There were so many awesome character dynamics in Smallville, but that was the most important. That was the most enjoyable. And really, to get a final season and a finale and focusing on the romantic element, and I mean to sell out to your fans with the Chloe Oliver thing, Cholly. I mean, what an absolute embarrassment that was. The problem was, once Kelly Sellers and Brian Peterson took over from Al Miles, they allowed themselves, I believe, I have no facts, but I believe they allowed themselves to be bullied by the CW and certain cast members. I mean, Alison Mack, to her own admittance, went to them at the beginning of season 10 and said, I don't want Chloe to die. I want her to have a happy ending. No, Alison. That's not what was ever meant to happen. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that Chloe should have died, but Chloe's character was all about Clark, all about being a friend to him, helping him, protecting him. Ultimately, for me, Chloe should have made the ultimate sacrifice for Clark. Maybe because after Clark becomes Superman, they put her in an asylum and she pretends to be insane so Lex can never get to her. Or, even if we went with that season 10 thing where Lex had to kill someone, Lex killing Tess, what the hell? And then her making him have amnesia? Nonsense. If Lex was going to kill anyone, it should have been Chloe. Let me tell you why. It would have been emotional. It would have been compelling. It would have devastated Clark and Lois, and also it would have drove them to be at the Daily Planet, being great reporters, and it would have drove Clark to be the hero he's always been destined to be. So we got Alison Mack got her wish for a happy ending. What did she get? Reading a comic book to a kid who is obviously Connor Hawke, I think that's his name in the comics, and she's reading a Smallville comic to him. And in the end, she makes a phone call to Lois about wedding rings or some nonsense, and that's Chloe's happy ending. One of the most annoying bits and scenes of the series finale was when she says goodbye to Oliver and she walks off with a smug look on her face. People, that's a smug look of Alison Mack, not Chloe. That's Alison Mack saying to us, I got my own way. I got the happy clappy ending I wanted. And it's outrageous, people. I loved Alison Mack for Chloe for most of Smallville, but that was outrageous. And that's just evidence that Sellers and Peterson allowed themselves to be bullied by cast members. We had the Tom Welling situation. Now, there was always rumours about Tom Welling not wanting to wear the suit. Now, for me, if you don't want to wear the suit, mate, that's fine. But he should have at least been he still could have been CG'd with the suit on, and we could have seen him flying properly with him in the suit. But we went down this road of we should never see Clark totally in the Superman costume, full picture, full screen, because this is Smallville, not Superman. You're telling the Superman story, for crying out loud. What was going on? And I mean, the key moment really with Tom Welling and the suit was the final negotiations for really the season 9 and 10 contract. Before that, there was nothing special in his contract, I'm guessing. He takes his time with the season 9 and 10 contract. All of a sudden, he's producing Hellcats, which didn't last 5 minutes, obviously. Obviously, a show especially brought onto the CW for him. And I think that's where he put that he wasn't going to wear the Superman costume. That's the problem. Once that happened, because at that moment, he had them by the balls. They had to sign him up again. You can't have Smallville without Tom Welling. You can't have Smallville without Clark Kent. You can't cast another actor at that point. So the whole thing was an absolute mess. I used going through Smallville for most of the time thinking, I love the way the actors are so respectful. I love the way you never hear anything negative about the actors.